Number seven, men are far more likely to be colorblind. 1 in 12 men is colorblind compared to just 1 in 200 women. So men are roughly 17 times more likely to be colorblind than women. And it all comes down to chromosomes. The National Eye Institute points out that the genes responsible for color blindness are located exclusively on the X chromosome. Women have two X chromosomes. If one carries the color blindness gene, the other chromosome compensates. Men only have one X chromosome inherited from their mother, so if that single X carries the faulty gene, there's no backup. He'll be colorblind. This is called X-linked recessive inheritance. Around 300 million people worldwide are colorblind, and approximately 95% of them are male. Luckily, colorblind fathers can't pass the condition to their sons because fathers only give their sons a Y chromosome. They pass their X to their daughters, making them carriers who might pass it on to their own children. Women can be colorblind, but it requires inheriting the defective gene from both parents, which is statistically rare. The genetic lottery that determines whether you see the world in full color are heavily stacked against men. Number six, Earth's oxygen comes from the ocean. You probably think rainforests produce most of Earth's oxygen. They don't. The ocean does. Scientists estimate that roughly 50 to 70% of atmospheric oxygen comes from marine photosynthesizers like phytoplankton, seaweed, and cyanobacteria. These microscopic organisms drift in the upper 200 meters of the ocean, using photosynthesis to convert carbon dioxide and sunlight into energy and releasing oxygen as a byproduct. Scientists call Prochlorococcus the lungs of the planet because it produces about 20% of all oxygen on Earth. A single-celled organism you can't even see is responsible for 1 in every 5 breaths you take. Phytoplankton have been producing oxygen for 3.5 billion years, long before trees even existed. And without ocean oxygen production, it is very likely that complex life never happens. The irony is that while the ocean produces over half our oxygen, we often credit trees and act like deforestation is the only threat to breathable air. Ocean health matters just as much. When phytoplankton populations decline due to warming waters or pollution, oxygen production drops. So the next time you're at the beach, make sure to clean your trash and remove anything that does not belong in the ocean. The ocean is one of the most important life support system we have. Number five, a cloud can weigh around 1 million pounds. Those fluffy white clouds floating peacefully overhead weighs roughly 1 million pounds. That's heavier than a fully loaded Boeing 747. According to the United States Geological Survey, the average cumulus cloud contains about 1.1 million pounds of water droplets. And the reason it is floating is because the water droplets are so tiny and small that air resistance keeps them afloat. They fall, but so slowly that updrafts and air currents easily keep them suspended, and the moist air inside the cloud weighs less than the dry air surrounding it. It's the same principle that makes hot air balloons float. The water in clouds isn't a solid mass. It's dispersed into billions of microscopic droplets, each about 20 micrometers in diameter. That's smaller than the width of a human hair. When enough of these droplets merge together, they become heavy enough to overcome air resistance and fall as rain. But until that happens, 1 million pounds of water in the shape of a white, fluffy cloud just hangs there in the sky. Next time you see a cloud, remember you're looking at something that weighs more than 100 adult-sized elephants. Number four, soil is full of life. You probably think soil is nasty and dirty, but it's actually an ecosystem more crowded than any city on the planet. A single teaspoon of healthy soil contains more microorganisms than there are humans alive. We're talking billions of bacteria, millions of fungi, thousands of protozoa, hundreds of nematodes, and countless other microscopic life forms. The US Department of Agriculture estimates that soil hosts millions of species and billions of organisms per teaspoon, representing the greatest concentration of biomass anywhere on Earth. These organisms are a civilization that works seamlessly together. Bacteria decompose organic matter and fix nitrogen from the air, making it usable for plants. Fungi form networks that connect plant roots, allowing them to share nutrients and communicate. Earthworms and beetles aerate the soil and break down dead material. This is why plants grow, why ecosystems function, and why agriculture is possible. Without soil microorganisms, dead matter would pile up endlessly and nothing would decompose. Plants couldn't extract nutrients, the carbon cycle would collapse. Life as we know it depends on microscopic creatures living in dirt that most people never think about. Every step you take is on top of a thriving metropolis of organisms more diverse and populous than all human civilization combined, and they've been maintaining Earth's ecosystems for hundreds of millions of years. Number three, hot water freezes faster than cold water. You probably would assume that cold water freezes faster than hot water, but under certain conditions, hot water actually freezes faster. This is called the Mpemba effect. It was named after Erasto Mpemba, who noticed that his hot ice cream mixture froze faster than cold mixture when placed in the freezer. Scientists have been trying to explain why ever since. The leading theory involves thermodynamic equilibrium. Hot water is further from equilibrium, meaning its molecules are in a more excited, disordered state. When placed in a freezer, this instability can allow certain freezing processes to happen faster. A theory for cold water is that it can develop frost on its surface, which ironically acts as a blanket and insulates the water below and slows freezing. The Mpemba effect doesn't happen every time. It depends on container shape, initial temperatures, and environmental conditions. But when conditions align, physics produces this counterintuitive result. It's a reminder that temperature and phase changes aren't as straightforward as they seem. Number two, it rains diamonds on other planets. On Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn, it literally rains diamonds. These gas giants have atmospheric pressures and temperatures so extreme that they can crystallize carbon atoms into solid diamond, which then falls like rain. Researchers at Stanford and the University of California reproduced the conditions in laboratories using high powered lasers to compress polystyrene, simulating the methane rich atmospheres of these planets. Under pressures millions of times greater than Earth's atmosphere and temperatures reaching thousands of degrees, carbon atoms rearrange into diamond crystal structures. On Neptune and Uranus, scientists estimate that thousands of tons of diamonds exist in the atmosphere at any given time, with some individual diamonds potentially weighing millions of carats. On Saturn, researchers speculate that as much as 2.2 million pounds of diamonds rain down every year. The universe creates conditions Earth can barely simulate, and things we consider luxury literally falls from the sky, and it's probably a magical sight to see, but I'd prefer not having the chance of diamonds smashing my head whenever it rains. Number one, humans can produce venom. You'd think that venom comes from snakes or spiders, but every mammal and reptile on Earth, including humans, has the biological capability to produce venom. Research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that the genes necessary for venom production are present across mammals and reptiles. These genes control salivary glands, and in venomous species like snakes and shrews, mutations cause those glands to produce toxic proteins instead of digestive enzymes. Humans have the same foundational genes that venomous animals use. Our salivary glands produce proteins just like venom glands do. The difference is regulation and mutation. If the right genetic switch is flipped due to environmental pressure or random mutation, human saliva could theoretically become toxic. Evolution has independently created venom systems over 100 times across different species, proving it's not a rare accident but a repeatable adaptation. The fact that humans retain venom related genes suggests we share ancient ancestry with organisms that were venomous, or that venom production is a latent ability waiting for the right evolutionary pressure. So while you're not spitting cobra venom anytime soon, you're genetically closer to doing so than you might think. It's just that evolution hasn't found a reason to turn on that particular feature yet. Thanks for watching.
Like and subscribe to see more.